I'm Mrs. Kona, and in this video we're going to be placing film into a developing tank. So before we got started, we need to make sure that we have absolutely everything that we need. So the first thing that you need is your practice film. So what makes this a practice film is this is film that's been used and there was a mistake that was made, so maybe it was exposed a bit too early or it just didn't develop properly. So this is old film. You want to make sure that you're using old film and not our new film, because the new film is obviously going to be for you guys when you're taking your photos. So you want to have your practice film. If you're not sure where to grab it from, just ask maybe a friend or myself or whoever your photography teacher is. You also want to grab the little stuff that you need for your film. So this would be your what's it called again? Your cassette stuff. So you have 3 different parts to it, and you make sure that you have each of these parts. Once you have that, what you need to make sure is you have all your stuff for the developing process. So you have your developing tank, you have the centerpiece, you have the wheel, you have your liquid lid that looks like a funnel, and then you have your, oh sorry, this is your light lid, so there's no light exposure, and then your liquid lid. And then the last thing that you need, second last thing you need is your developing bag, which looks like this. And again, if you're not sure where to grab this from, just ask either myself or a classmate. And you also need a pair of scissors. Okay, so let's make sure that we have all of these things first before we get started. These are all located all together, so it should be pretty easy to find. Now what we're going to do first is a practice run, and that's when we have our practice film, because it's really easy to make a mistake in all these different steps that we're going to be doing. So it's really important that when we can practice, that we take that opportunity and actually practice what we're doing first. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to get our cassette loaded. So typically when a cassette's loaded, it's all done in the dark. Why is that? Take a minute to think. Why would we have to do all of this normally in the dark? You should say it's because if this film gets exposed to light, then it gets ruined. So because this is just our practice film, it's fine that we're kind of playing around with it and getting it exposed because it doesn't actually matter. I'm also getting my fingerprints all over this film, and normally that would be really bad. Why? Well, if I had fingerprints on the film and then I developed it, what are my photos going to look like? I'm going to have fingerprints on my photos, and that's not what I want. So one thing we want to make sure is this part's going to go inside this like that. So that means when I'm rolling up my film, it needs to be able to go in that way as well. So the roll should actually be like this. So just take a minute now to make sure you're doing that. Okay. Let's get this one right. Okay, cool. So now we're going to place this in. Perfect. As you can see, there's this little felt part right here. That's good because it protects the film. Again, the film's really sensitive, so it's light sensitive, but also if we scratch it or get our fingerprints on it, it's going to ruin the film. If you can see here, it has a nice little tail here, and as you guys learned already, this tail is so it makes it easier for the film to go into the camera. So that's why that's placed like that. So now we have our film, and it's almost all ready to go. We just can't forget our cap. So what does this do? If you said it protects the film from the light, then you are correct. So it also secures it in place, and now my film is all protected from the light, except for the little tail bit here. So this is what it looks like when it gets loaded into the camera. What you need to do now to develop it, to get it into the developing tank, is you need to cut off that tail. So you're going to cut it, goodbye tail, and then you're going to cut the corners. And it should just look like that, nice and easy. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to grab our wheel. If you can see here, we have these little teeth marks. Well, I call them teeth marks. You can kind of see the little silver bits here. What we're going to do now is we're going to just stick the film in like this. See how it slides? Now this is the fun part. We're just going to wind it like this. You can hear it moving. all we're doing is winding. Oh, now it's not winding anymore, it's actually kind of getting stuck. Now I'm not absolutely sure if it's finished, so I'm just going to give the cassette a gentle pull, and it's not moving, which means it's done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the film off. Now be really careful of that felt part, because you don't want to cut that felt part off. Alright, so the cassette is free, and now my film is on the wheel. Next, what we're going to do is stick it onto our centerpiece. This centerpiece gets placed onto here, so now it's nice and secure into the developing tank. Now what we're going to do once it's secure in the developing tank is we're going to place this on, and now this is going to make it light proof. Because again, it's still light sensitive until we develop it fully. So all you're going to do is place that on top, and you should be able to hear a click. So as soon as you move it in place and hear that click, now it's light proof. So I'll do it one more time. So that lid goes on and click. Alright? So it's light proof and we're good to go. Oh, I actually do it. This bit is for the liquid. So this is when we get to the developing part where we're using the chemicals. We need to use this lid so the liquid doesn't get anywhere. So now you're good to go. So that's probably going to take you a full lesson to complete. So once we've finished, what you need to do is you need to grab some tape, and you're going to place the tape on over top, and then you're going to write your name. Why are we doing this? Well, if all 28 of you guys are doing this, they all look the same, so it's going to be hard to figure out whose is whose. So now we're going to write our name, and there we go. Now, one thing you're probably wondering is, wait, miss, isn't the film sensitive to light and you've just exposed it completely? Well, if you're thinking that, that's correct. That was just our test run. What you need to do now is actually do it in this light-proof bag. So we're going to do all of that stuff again, but now we're going to do it in this bag. So when we're using the light-proof bag, what you guys are going to do is you're going to open it up and you're going to notice that there's two zippers. So we have these two zippers, and again, we need to make sure that we have everything. So luckily everything's right here in front of us. The only thing that we need to do now is reload that cassette so that we can practice again in that bag with the loaded cassette. So we have our loaded cassette with the test film. We have our centerpiece, our developing tank, we have our funnel, and we have our liquid lid, and we have our wheel, and we have our scissors. We will be putting the scissors into the bag, so you do have to be really careful. I haven't had a kid cut off their finger yet, but there's always a first time for everything. Oh no, this actually has a hole in it, so that's no good. But because it's just a test, that's fine. So we're gonna put everything into that second bag. So we're just gonna put it up like this. Now everything's in, and then really important, we're gonna zip it up. Because this is our good run, we want to make sure that there's absolutely no light getting in, so that's why we're being super cautious here. Now what we're going to do is your hands get placed into these. And then you do exactly what I had just showed you, but in the bag. Now once your hands are secure in the bag, like you see now, do you think it's a good idea to take your hand out and say, Miss, I have a question? The answer is no, that is a bad idea. Why? Because now there's light getting through. So if you have a question, the best thing would be is if I'm close by, you can just ask me a question because I'm close by to you, or you can ask a mate to come grab me. But basically you're just going to work through everything like this. I'm going to demonstrate it, but I'm going to open up this part of the bag here so you can actually see what it looks like as I'm doing it. Oh, I just want to show you what I'm working as. So this is the bag that you guys need to use, and then obviously I'm using this nice bright light, and then I have this little cardboard box using it as a frame just so I can show you everything that I'm doing. So let's see if this works. So I literally cannot see what I'm doing right now, so hopefully I don't mess it up. So I'm just trying to find first it's the fun little game of finding where did I put everything. Alright, so I was able to find my cassette. So you can see I have my cassette right here. So one thing that's really nice, did I not put a lid on the cassette? Oh yeah, it is.
One thing that's really nice about these cassettes is because they're plastic, they have these caps that can just twist off. Other cassettes are sometimes metal, so you actually have to use a... Okay, so I know it was a bit hard to see in that video, so I'm just going to show you again. So here is my cassette, and it's loaded with, again, the test film. But I'm just going to show you guys how to take the film out, because you guys, it is a really tricky part. I just want to make sure that you guys feel confident when you're doing it. So you can see here on the lid, the plastic ones are really, really friendly, because all you need to do is twist it off, okay? That's it. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to push just a little bit out, and then I like to bring some of that film forward and then just pull it up like that, because then it's easy to connect it to the wheel here. Okay, we need the wheel. So I found the wheel, and now what we're doing, I feel like this is going to be very bad footage. Okay, now what I need to do is find that the teeth mark that I was talking about. You can actually do that by feel. So I can feel them right here. And now what you're going to do is you want to, maybe if I like move forward either. What you want to do is place it in. And I'm just going to give it a gentle feel. I think I got it. And then this is where it's good because you can actually hear it. So you can hear it moving. I don't know if I actually, oh yeah, I can feel it. Okay, so I'm just going to wind that now. So I've wound it all up, and remember when you think it's done, just give it a gentle pull. That's what I did, and I can't move it anymore. And now, this is always the scary part, the scissors. Where are they? Oh, here we go. Okay. Maybe I should have grabbed the smaller bear. So you're going to grab your scissors, and then you're going to feel, and you're just going to cut. Ooh, there we go. Now we're all good. So my wheel is all ready to go. Now I need to find the center part. So I found, no, that's not it. Ah, here we go. The center part, placing this on it. And then hopefully you guys remember the rest. After I've done that, placing it into the developing tank, then placing that funnel bit on top. And then what you need to do, does anyone remember? Listen for that click. And then the last step is placing that lid on top.
By now, you have practiced doing your developing film. What I recommend is doing the practice at least once outside of the bag, and then doing it 2 times in the bag. That way you can feel a lot more confident when you're going in before using your good film. Again, the reason we're using practice film is because it's really easy to make mistakes. So we might as well make those mistakes when we're practicing, so when we do it with the good one, we're feeling really confident about it. So some really important things to remember. The film is light sensitive, so if it does get exposed to light, it's going to be ruined. So all those photos that you get taken on your camera, you won't be able to see. So it's really important that we're taking care of those film strips. Those negatives. The next thing you need to make sure is that you are labeling your developing tank, because again, they all look the same. So if all 28 of you guys are doing this, it's going to be really confusing of whose is who, so just making sure you're labeling it nice and neatly that this tank is yours. And I think that's everything. If you have any questions or need any help, look at your classmates who have already done this and ask them for guidance, or just watch this video again and go through the steps as you're watching the video. And if those 2 things don't help and you're still really confused, then come ask me for help. Thanks guys, and good luck.